In this video I'm going to implement a color picker in React. So it is going to be one HSL color picker, means hue, saturation and luminance. So it will be like one hue selector. This is going to be one slider, and suppose I'm selecting one hue value, and the S and L, saturation and luminance, will be selected from one 2D space. So I have one simple React project. First I'm starting with one header, let's say color picker, and then I need one slider. So I am using this material UI slider. In this slider I think I have one property called value, the slider value, and then on change. Alright, so I need one state to store the hue, then set hue, initialize with maybe 0. So in this slider I'm going to add the value as the hue value, and on change I'm going to get the changed value. I think the first parameter is event and the second one is the new value. So I can set the hue with the new value. Let's see if the slider is working or not. Yeah, slider is there. And what about the value that I'm setting? If I print hue, alright, it is working. Now I'm going to use one 2D space, one 2D grid to display one 2D space like this. So for that I'm going to use simple divs to create the cells. So for that I'm going to create one component. Let's call it SL grid, because here I'm only selecting the saturation and luminance, and the properties are going to be hue. First of all, hue is required, so hue will come from this color picker page. Whatever the value I'm setting, that I'm going to send here. Let's return something. First I'm going to return just one div just to check if everything is working. So this function I can call here with the hue. Yeah, it is working now. One more parameter I want here, that is the column count, or we can call it as resolution of the grid. So I'm using this property calls here, that is the number of columns, initializing with 10. If I'm not passing anything, the column value will be 10. So to make the grid I need one 2D array. So let's make one array called rows. Then I need one loop. Let row r equals to 0 to calls. I need another loop, and the next loop will start from 0 to calls only, because I'm going to create one square. Now let's fill the rows in this position, r position. I'm going to add, so I need to create the row at first. So after executing this, I will have one 2D array with just blank objects. Let me check that. I'm putting one breakpoint here. So row contains one grid of one 2D array. There are no values, only blank. To use this array we need the H and L value. So let's add that S and L value, right? So saturation, C will start from 0 to 10 here. We need the saturation in percentage value. That means we can multiply it with 100 divided by the number of columns. Saturation, and so this saturation is going to be percentage value, and hue, not hue, luminance, and that is also going to be row multiplied by 100 divided by calls. Now that we have this 2D array, we can print that, we can create our UI. I'm going to map this array. I'll just create one div for each row. Let's see if rows are printing or not. Yeah, I have around 10 rows, and for each row I'm going to show the columns. So row dot map again, I'll get call another div I'm going to render. Oh, let's see column. Let's see. Now the problem is that those cells should be inline. If I change it to span, it's going to work. So I'll do one thing here. I will use div only, and in style I'm going to change it to inline block. Here I can set the background color. Now background color is going to be HS cell. Then at first the hue value. So I'm using template literal for ES6 so that I can add the value inside. I have already calculated the percentage value, so I can just add the percent symbol here. And luminance. Hopefully it will work. Let's see. Yeah, it is exactly how I wanted it to be. But there is one catch here. If I remove this text, it will not show up because it doesn't have any height or width. Let's fix that. Let's create one square. So we have this div for the SL grid. I'm going to set some width here, maybe 300. Then this row, by default the div width is 100%, so I don't have to set any width. I can set height. This is for each row, so the percentage height will be 100 divided by number of columns, that much percentage. I need one more, that is the cell height will be 100% of the row, and width is going to be similar to this. Yeah, it's working. Now if I change the hue, you can see the grid values are changing. Now I want to show you something, that we are using column 10. So instead, if we just increase the amount of columns like 20, I can get a grid like this. This is also working fine, but if I increase the number of columns, like 20 means we are displaying around 400 small cells. If I increase it further, maybe 50, it is still working fine, but in smaller mobile devices the performance will not be that good. So we will fix the performance for this in another video, or just try something. Try 100, so total 1000 cells. Now yeah, I can see a little bit performance issue. Okay, we will fix this in next video. Thanks for watching. If you like this, then please like and subscribe.